But moving forward, we have, oh boy, the ranked Kansas Jayhawks, baby. We got number 24 Kansas on the road at number 3 Texas. Texas a 16.5-point favorite and declining. That number is actually down from open. This game carries a very fun over-under of 63 points. We're talking about a true old-fashioned Big 12 shootout happening in Austin. This game kicks off at 3:30 p.m. Eastern on ABC. I love that Kansas is in the national spotlight 2 years in a row. I really do. This isn't exactly actionable for this game, but it's another interesting trend that's been happening this year. Teams ranked in the AP Top 5 are 4, 13, and 2 against the spread. That's about a 24% cover rate. So they're winning. They're 17-2 outright. Got to give credit to Ben Fox for that one. But they're not covering large spreads. And I do think that actually has a lot to do with the clock rules. That they're simply running the ball down overmatched teams' throats, and because they don't get that stoppage on first down, Texas doesn't have the time to score 48 points on Wyoming. So, but talking about these teams, Kansas, they have done just enough to beat the teams on their schedule. No more, no less. I talked about that game being weird in Nevada. Guess what? They didn't even come close to covering that spread. The underlying defensive numbers are not that bad, but they've played Missouri State, who's an FCS team. They played Illinois, who's a mess on offense, and Nevada, who may be one of the 2 or 3 worst teams in the FBS, plus BYU, who is a team with a pulse. Obviously, this is a big step up to Texas, though. They've not played a team remotely close to what they're going to see from the Longhorns here. Their secondary has actually played really well, but again, not against very stiff competition here. Kobe Bryant, that's C-O-B-E-E Bryant, is an all-league caliber player, but they only have one of him. They don't have multiple, and Texas has infinity talented receivers between Xavier Worthy and Adonai Mitchell and Jordan Whittington and all those guys, Isaiah Nair. But let's talk about this Texas offense. They kind of sleptwalked through the first halves of Rice and Wyoming, put the foot down in the second half to win the game soundly. I don't think that's an issue with their offense because I've seen them get up for Baylor and Alabama. So I think it just simply is we don't need to show much. We don't need to do much against these lesser teams. Let's just get the win and move on. And they pretty much just sat on Baylor. They only had 4 explosive plays, but a 51% success rate. So they moved the ball with consistency. They didn't need the big plays to beat Baylor, who is just, oh boy, Dave Aranda. That is a quick fall from grace. They do have a potential look-ahead spot to the Red River rivalry here, but Kansas has beaten them in the not-so-distant past. So I'm not sure that that's something that the Longhorns are going to say, yeah, let's just ignore Kansas. We can roll right over them. And then on the other side, the offensive line has been really impressive for Kansas. Illinois' defensive front is really no joke. They've been tested, but still not Texas's. We're still talking about a big step up in tier here. They have some issues at left guard of all the places, but about 80% of that line I think is really solid. Can Kansas's receivers get separation from Texas's defensive backs? I don't know. The Longhorns are 19th in PFF's coverage grade so far in the season. I think they did a nice job with Alabama, who did get some opportunities, but for the most part, the DB stuck to them like glue. So can they create that separation? Can Kansas create that separation? I don't know. I really don't.
Yep. Brett, Texas is back. That's the headline here, right? It's the headline every year.
Watch them lose 3 in a row.
But I'm serious, though. Texas is back. I've seen enough in both the predictive model. Texas ranks 6th, and the most deserving rankings. Texas ranks number 1. My numbers have Texas minus 21.5. It's a 94% win expectancy. The Longhorns' overall rank and offensive unit rank remain unchanged from the preseason, but the defense has been better than expected. They've risen from number 16 to number 4. It's now a top 5 defense for me. And say what you want. Yeah, Baylor, my biggest downgrade of any team from preseason to now. They're down 10.8 points. No one has dropped more in the power ratings for me than Baylor. So take that with a grain of salt. But that game against Alabama still holding weight. A Wyoming team that has a good win against Texas Tech. So it's not like they haven't played anybody. They ain't played nobody, Paul. They have played some teams, and it's going to get harder as we move forward here. The Red River Shootout is looming, as you mentioned. But with only the Red River Shootout next week, projecting as a closer than a 9-point spread for me. Right now, Texas is a favorite in every game by at least 9 points, except for Red River. Texas's regular season win total projection has skyrocketed. It's up to 10.6. That's up from what was a very respectable 9.4 in the preseason. But Texas is looking good. And speaking of looking good, this is 2 years in a row that Kansas is off to a red hot start. The Jayhawks are number 24 in my most deserving rankings. Not every day that the AP poll and my most deserving are spot on. They are in this case. The number 19 record achievement, and the Jayhawks are my number 15 overachievers to this point in the season with regard to win-loss record relative to expected. Both units have been better than I projected. The offense has jumped from number 28 in the preseason to number 19, and the defense is up. I did not have high expectations for this defense. I had them sub 100 coming into the year. They're still not great, but they're number 85. That's good improvement through four games. So as evidenced by those unit rankings I just rattled off, the offense is really good for Kansas. It's number 4 in the Big 12. The defense, like I said, while it's improved, still has work to do. It's currently ranked number 12 in the Big 12, which has 14 teams for now. Kansas has beaten Texas in recent years, as you said. But this year's Longhorns team is the best version of the Texas team that we've seen in a while. And this will be the Jayhawks' biggest test of the season on both sides of the ball by far, as you mentioned, Brett. Bottom line, Texas minus 21.5, 6% chance that Kansas improves to 5-0 on the year. I know it's a 6% chance, but just saying Kansas could be 5-0. That's awesome. I love it as well. Jayhawks fans have accused me of not liking their team. Guys, I'm just telling you what the numbers say, but this is 2 years in a row. You've done great. Keep it up, and the model will eventually catch up if you continue to have this high level of success. All else equal, Brett, what does this game do to the projected conference championship standings? It is Oklahoma and Texas right now that have clear separation at the top. Texas has a 67% chance to make it to Arlington. That's number 2 in the conference. With a win, it goes up to 68%, so really not a whole lot to gain here for Texas. That's what happens when you're a 21.5 points favorite. Like, the model's expecting you to get this win. You're not going to get rewarded in this regard for that. With a loss, though, they drop to a 41% chance to make it, which would be 3rd best in the conference. So a lot to lose for Texas in this game with regard to the conference championship race. Not a lot to gain. Kansas, on the other hand, is kind of on the flip side. Less than a 1% chance currently if they win. It goes up to a 4% chance, so it's not nothing, but it's still pretty far down there again because their power rating right now is 9th in the Big 12. If they lose, it remains less than 1%. So Texas, you've dropped this game in the past. If you are serious, and if Texas is back, if you want to be taken seriously on the national stage, I know you beat Alabama. All of that will be undone if you lose to Kansas at home this week. All the goodwill, all the hype is gone if you lose to Kansas. Right or wrong, that's gonna be what happens. So you better take care of business, and you better not be looking ahead to Oklahoma, because I know the college football public probably is. You can't afford to.
I'd like to introduce the 2023 Kansas Jayhawks to the 2022 Kansas Jayhawks, Kelly. They're 5-0. Yeah, I'll absorb some of the flack that you're getting from Kansas fans. Yeah, they're 5-0. Well, great. Don't apologize for being 5-0 and beating the teams you should. Or I'm sorry, 4-0 and beating teams you should. I'm jumping ahead to give them a win at Texas. But from this point on, they have at Texas, UCF, who's very good and should be getting John Rice Plumlee back. They have Oklahoma. They have Kansas State, and they're at Cincinnati. And I'm not going to chalk up a game at Iowa State as a win. I don't know, man. I have an under 6. Go ahead.
No, you get it. What are you saying? You have an under 6?
Like under 6.5 win total ticket, and I should be nervous about it at 4-0, but I'm just not.
My numbers have a 56% chance to reach 7+. So right now you have a 44% chance.
Not great.
To get. I mean, well, hey, but what you just said, my numbers after, like, moving forward, my numbers favor Kansas in one game at Oklahoma State, 2.5 points. Now, there's a lot of close spreads. UCF is a 4-point game. Iowa State, a 1 point. Texas Tech, 1 point. Cincinnati, 3.5. So a lot of those games are toss-up. If Kansas just wins half of them, half of the toss-ups, they'll be fine, and you will lose. If they don't, you will win. Again, you're a 2.5 point favorite against Oklahoma State. You could lose that game. So, yes, Kansas fans, very happy with where you are. I'll give it quickly. Coming into the year, I gave a 44% chance to go bowling. It is now up to an 84% chance to go bowling. Your chances to go over that 6.5, 21% in the preseason, so I would have felt very good about it. Now it's 56%, so I don't feel as good, but it's certainly still a possibility that cashes.
Yeah, bottom line for me in this game is that Kansas really hasn't played an offense with any explosive potential yet, and Texas just brings a lot of it. That's, if we're looking for a real boiled down way to look at this game, overly simplified, whatever you want to call it. But, I need to know if we're going to get an inspired performance from Texas, or are they going to do what they've been doing to the last couple overmatched opponents where they kind of take it easy in the first half and say, oh shoot, we need to win the second half to make, clean up the mess, I suppose. And if they're not looking ahead to Oklahoma, but if you're looking to back Kansas, I'd probably take a first half spread rather than that full game, because Texas just puts the foot on the gas in the second half. I would feel pretty good about taking a first half ticket on Kansas in this game. If we're being honest here, that probably is my only play.